Okay, why don't we call this evening's meeting to order, please? 7 o'clock. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, November 1, please.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from November 1, 2017.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is old business, for which there is none. Next item on the agenda is new business. First item is PY 1718 CDBG Residential Housing Rehabilitation Program. Review activity for consistency with Hopkinton's comprehensive plan. I see where the town council has already dropped the hammer on it. They're good to go. So, Jim, maybe just a brief introduction and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, at this point in time, we only have one activity comprising our 2017 CDBG application, and that is for housing, townwide housing rehabilitation. And it's an activity that is applied for on a regular annual basis. It's for people that, throughout town, will mod people to do various rehab projects on their home, and they are deferred loans, basically, secured by the mortgage of the property. And Mr. Marchant is proposing to submit the application for $75,000 to start off with, which could be supplemented by additional requests, but just to start the flow off would be that. The town council on Monday night authorized submission of this application, so what, if the planning board is so comfortable, what I need the board to do tonight is to certify that to the best of its knowledge, the activity proposed is not in conflict with the general policies set forth in the comprehensive community plan of the town of Hopkinton.
Planning board members, any questions, thoughts?
No, Jeff Marchant, give us a pep speech, talk.
He was here Monday night, he said he could handle it.
Okay.
Pretty simple matter.
My only question is which one of our goals are we doing? I went and looked at our comprehensive plan, and we list out all of our goals, just for the record, so that we can say that we are meeting with this plan our goals that we have stated.
I don't think, Amy, that you really have to state that it meets any particular goal or any set of goals. I think it just,
That it's not in
that
conflict.
it doesn't conflict with any of the goals.
Okay, well, but maybe just for when we go to redo our comprehensive plan, that we have this apply to one of our goals so that we can say that we've met it. That we had this plan. And so I was thinking like goal H2 within our update for our housing, for our goals and policies. So it shows that we were proactive in doing this program in order to help our low to moderate income housing in Hopkinton. So I just think it shows great action from the town, and we can apply it to our comprehensive plan to show.
You can incorporate that in your motion, absolutely. It doesn't hurt.
Okay. Do we agree? Do I need to say a specific goal for the H2 or?
As far as I'm concerned, you need to use the terminology the planning board certifies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Plan of the town of Hopkinton, you need to use those exact words. If you want to add to your motion, that is perfectly okay, but I would suggest that you need to use that verbiage at the minute.
Want me to do it?
What I will be doing, I will be signing this sheet of paper right here,
Okay.
as I normally do. This comes right out of our annual application. And as I normally do, I sign that there if the board states that all the activities are not in conflict with the comp plan. So I did. Then I'll give it to Jeff, along with what the council did the other night. They did the other one here, authorizing submission. So on a normal year, we might have 10, 12, 13 activities. But at this point in time, the state is only accepting activities for housing. This is the only thing we're eligible to submit right now. It's an unusual, set of circumstances of the whole CP these days. So.
1 second. Make sure you get the right number.
I'll move then that in regards to the Town of Hopkinton 2017 Community Development Block Grant Application, that the Planning Board of the Town of Hopkinton has reviewed the proposals contained in this application and has been given the opportunity to comment on said proposals. The Planning Board certifies that to the best of its knowledge, the programs/activities proposed are not in conflict with the general policies set forth in the comprehensive community plan of the Town of Hopkinton.
And I'd like to add,
If you're amenable, I won't go through the formality, but
absolutely.
I'd like to add- yes, please do.
I'd like to add specifically in regards to the 2010 comprehensive plan goals H2 and H3.
Okay, I have a motion. I can second that. How about that? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a major land development pre-application meeting, telecommunications tower, AP 16, lot 38, 346 Spring Street, industrial tower and wireless LLC applicant. Applicant is present, or or representative.
Thank you.
Take the podium, please.
Thank you. My name is Nicholas Gorham of Gorham & Gorham in Situate, Rhode Island, and I represent the applicant, Industrial Tower. And you should have a package with the tabs and everything. And my belief as to what we're supposed to do here tonight is to go through the checklist to make sure that the things that we have not provided are suitable to you, and well, the things that we have provided and the things we haven't provided are acceptable to you, and to make sure that you deem the application complete. But of course, I mean, we have the plan, it's completed, it's done, and if you want to indulge questions tonight that might help us for the next hearing, I think that's a great idea, and we're happy to talk about them tonight. All the representatives from ITW who would be able to answer your questions are here. John Champ, Kevin Delaney, and Rick Mosey. So they were at the zoning board hearing as well. So just a little background, we applied for zoning relief, and the zoning board, there's a little bit of a oddity in the zoning ordinance about what relief is required for a tower in this area, in this zone. So to err on the side of caution, we applied for the more stringent approval, which is a use variance, which is very difficult to get. But when we made our presentation, by agreement with the zoning board, we also discussed and satisfied all of the criteria that would be necessary in order to issue a special use permit. So we presented evidence suitable to the board as to both. That way, no one would ever be able to say that we didn't prove our case under any standard, because we did. And that was satisfactory to the zoning board. As you know, they approved the proposal, and I think it's a very good proposal. The company has a long history with successful towers all over New England, and quite a few of them in Rhode Island in particular. I won't go through all of them, but with that said, shall I proceed through the checklist items? Is that the protocol that you would prefer that I follow, or?
Let's be clear on the whole concept of the checklist.
Sure.
First of all, there are some deficiencies in the checklist, but you use the term ensuring that the application is complete.
Yes.
It's really not our job.
Right, correct.
That's the planner's job.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm certainly not going to step on Jim's toes.
Okay, I didn't mean to suggest that you should.
And I appreciate that this is a pre-application. We don't have to be too formal.
Okay.
I think maybe to throw in my 2 cents worth, going through the checklist might be advantageous only from the perspective of, I have some serious concerns about the content of your application. And I'd like to have that resolved for you as you move forward. Again, pre-application, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But quite candidly, if this kind of application showed up at the next stage, I would be directing Jim not to even accept it. So I would like to see those structural elements resolved so that you don't have that problem.
Okay,
Okay?
very well.
So if you want to start with the checklist,
Sure,
I'm perfectly okay.
sure. Well, I think that 1 through 7, I don't think there's any real issue with the checklist 1 through 7. The zoning certificate, of course, we can't obtain that because we haven't asked for it. We're asking for zoning relief. We do have the decision of the zoning board, however. The location of the perimeter boundary lines, etc. I think we meet that quite well.
But we can stop right there.
Okay.
So, is your surveyor present, by the way? Or is he not in
don't-
attendance?
I'm a representative of the surveyor.
Okay, so, are you familiar with the concept of the procedural standards that are used in surveying every day?
Yes.
What's going on?
Yeah, maybe he should
Well,
introduce
Sam would
himself.
introduce himself, yes, Mr. Chairman, I think that's a good idea.
Hi, my name's Rick Bosi, I'm with ITW.
I'm sorry, first name is Rick.
Rick, yes.
So, is your surveyor familiar with the procedural standards that are used in surveying every day here in Rhode Island?
Yes.
So, that plan is grossly deficient.
Okay.
So, I'm not looking to give your surveyor a hard time, but you should go back and tell him he needs to get his house in order,
Okay.
okay? Again, pre-application, not a big deal, but that doesn't say pre-application on it. That plan is the real deal, right? It's been signed?
Yes, it has.
Okay, so, right away, there's a problem out of the gate. He needs to resolve those problems.
We had asked the planner what he wanted for the title.
The planner only has so much that he can input here.
Okay.
Procedural standards mandate that certain things appear on the plan that are not there. Make sure that happens.
Okay.
Number 9.
Well, do you want to expand on that, or are you leaving that up to us to?
Listen, that's not my job, right?
I understand, I'm just asking. I'm not
I'm
suggesting
not
that.
here to give you a survey lesson.
Thank you.
If your surveyor can't figure it out, you better have him call me. We'll figure it out together.
All right, if that's all right. I guess
If he doesn't know how to do it, you ought to have him call me.
Well,
Can you be specific? My name's John Champ. with-
John, yes, come forward.
Yes, could you be specific on what the issue is? Because I know that this surveyor is licensed in Rhode Island, and I know that this town has dealt with them many times and has good feedback from them. I'm not quite sure can you be specific
I can
on
be
what?
very specific.
That'd be great.
First of all, let's start with the fact of your surveyor's license.
Mhm,
As I tab through this,
mhm.
it certainly suggests to me that his license expired in June. Correct me if I'm mistaken.
Let's say that, doesn't it?
That doesn't look good, does it?
So you need an updated,
It would probably be a good idea.
okay,
I'm going to presume that somebody just reached into the file,
probably.
pulled out something that looked like it fit the bill, and stuck it into the package.
Okay.
This does not bode well. But I presume there's going to be one that's up to date, right?
Yes. And I apologize for that, but this is what the pre-application is about.
Exactly. And see,
Right.
if I didn't bring these things to your attention, I would be remiss.
Well, that's why we're here.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's be specific about your plan.
Yes.
First of all, it does not identify the type of survey. Prerequisite.
yes, such as type 1, etc.
No, that's the class of survey. So your surveyor hasn't quite distinguished between the type and the class. Okay, that class, that type rather, needs to be in the title block, and it also needs to be in the certification, which is completely unlocked. He's got the wrong dates in there. You've got to square that away. There are a number of elements that are delineated in our standards for the content of maps. Many of those items are not on the plan. And this is not, I'm not pulling this out of thin air, this is the law, by the way, as in the law.
Understood.
So when a surveyor puts his signature, his or her signature on a plan, those things better be there. Otherwise, that plan is ready to go to the Board of Registration for critique, right?
Okay.
You've got topographic data on the plane, you have no benchmarks so that no one can recreate the topographic data. Mandated by the standards. Moving from the survey sheet, if we go into I'm pretty sure it was the third sheet, you've got a series of,
Well, there's only two.
okay, so there's
There's a half-mile radius.
some other detail under industrial communications that,
Oh,
what's that?
well, that's a plan that was part of the approval for our use and dimensional variances.
So
The ZBA. This right here, this plan right here.
okay, so that only means that the folks that were looking at it, no criticism intended, just didn't know enough.
Okay.
They rely on the surveyor, by the way, to do the job properly. That's not their job.
So this particular sheet needs to be,
Anything that portrays the survey data needs to comply with the procedural standards. Your surveyor should know that.
Oh, can I ask you this? All we're really concerned about for this particular approval is, I mean, this was part of the, we just put this whole plan set in here just because, you know, we wanted to put it in to show you what we did for our zoning process. What we put together for this is, you know, what we're supposed to is the site plan and a half-mile radius. So I don't really know if, I mean, is it really necessary for us to change plans on something that is meant for a completely different board? Or can we just deal with the plans that we're dealing with right now, 1 and 2?
You sent it to us.
They're in my
I sent it to you because that's what I was asked to do. Just so you guys can see what we went through with our use and dimensional variances to get our approval from the zoning board. That's why we put that in there, out of courtesy.
well, what he's saying is that we need to determine whether we need to provide this, number one. And number two, if we're going to provide it, I think he's telling us it's woefully deficient,
All right.
so we have to.
So we don't have to provide this, is what you're saying. But if we're gonna, it's gotta be like that.
Well, let's just summarize by saying that any plans that you submit to this board
Yep.
need to comply with whatever standards are applicable. So if it's a
Okay.
survey plan, there's a set of survey standards that those maps need to comply with.
Okay.
If you're going to submit plans to me that show a tower and bolt details and electrical connections, well, you better have a PE seal on it. That would be a Rhode Island PE. Currently licensed
Right.
with a COA. Are we good?
Yes.
Outstanding. So that takes care of item number 9.
Number 10, unless there's disagreement, we don't think it's applicable.
The area better be on that survey plan, because that's a requirement of the standards. So you don't get to put NA next to 10.
Okay.
It is a subdivision, right?
Yes.
No, it's just, all we're doing is,
It's a subdivision.
No, it's
Well-
under Rhode Island law, it's a subdivision.
oh, is that what they call it?
Two-lot subdivision, right?
Oh, okay,
Plan,
okay.
So,
Yeah, John, that's
Yes.
on the plan too, the area is on the
of
plan.
course.
The area is on the
I
plan.
don't know why it's,
See how
it should
simple
be
that
checked.
was? Already resolved.
Well,
Just needs to be corrected in the checklist.
Okay, okay, thank you. So I think we just put an X next to 10 then.
Right, so,
Okay. That's easy.
yep.
We can handle that. I think 11 is compliant. I'm proceeding with a certain degree of trepidation, so
Would you like me to make it easier for you?
Yes.
if you don't mind, sure.
I'm really starting to get annoyed here. We shouldn't be babysitting that. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
I'm with you. I'm doing it only so that we don't have to do it. Preliminary and final. Number 23. I don't know if by NA you mean you don't know, or there aren't any. Make that clear for us, please. 31. 31 is not an option, and the street index box must show up on the survey plan. That is Rhode Island law.
Okay, it has to show up on that.
Correct. I do not understand why 36 and 37 have NA next to them. It is a subdivision. Make up some numbers for me.
Well, oh, I put that because there is no population. 'cause-
There is. Somebody's living in that.
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Either or, okay, either piece,
36.
okay.
And it would be my opinion that if we resolve those few minor items, we might have a checklist that works.
Just to make sure for
Although again, Jim, I'd be referring to you, this is not really what we do.
the 37. No, there's here.
They went to the zoning board first, for their things.
And by the way, let me interrupt. Did they go with this set of plans?
We went with this set of plans. This set of plans. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I was going
because-
to apologize on behalf of my zoning board, but I don't think I have to do that. Okay, no problem, I understand. So I'm sorry, went to the zoning board.
Well, I think where they were under the impression that they had to go through the checklist review is that that's how the zoning board operates. When you go to the zoning board, our administrative officers in the zoning department don't look at the application. Apparently, all they do is when the stuff comes in, they pass it to the zoning board, and the zoning board rules as to whether that application is complete or not. And if it's not, they come back the next, and they keep coming back until it is complete. And they'll grill them month after month after month until it's complete. As you know, and we all know, we don't do that here, that's my job. And so, I just like to say one thing before we go too far. Okay. In my opinion, and I expressed this to the applicant many times, their attorney talked with our attorney, They didn't even feel as though this was a major subdivision or land development project at all. They didn't even feel as though that tower should come before the planning board to get reviewed. All they wanted to do, the only reason why the planning department never became aware of this application is because they had to come to the planning department to accomplish their minor, what they call a minor subdivision, one lot into two. I have my doubts whether we would even be seeing this if they did not come to us for that. In my experience in this business in 15 years, okay, and again, this is something that we really should straighten out. I'll tell you, our solicitors should talk, our zoning solicitors should talk with our primary solicitor, and we should have a meeting someday and have a meeting of the minds as to exactly how we are to entertain development projects in this town, because we have some things to learn, okay? Planning and zoning have to work close together. When a project of this nature goes to the building or zoning department first for variances, okay, without planning even knowing anything about this, okay? Now they come here, they already have their use variance. The site, as you can see, is laid out. What do you expect the planning board to do with this? To what degree do you want to tweak it after the zoning board already gave them approval on this, okay? They already got the dimensional variance for the height, 135 feet for the tower. We do have an ordinance in this town pertaining to telecommunications towers, which I read this afternoon. Part of the ordinance calls for a bond to be put, same as solar facilities, a decommissioning bond to be put on something like this. I read the minutes from the zoning board meeting. I didn't see where the zoning board even took up that matter as to place a dollar amount on it. The way, and I told Mr. Goring, the applicant's representative, we had a dispute as to whether they would even need to come before the board or in what form. They just wanted to present a minor subdivision to this board. And I told them that they should relabel things pre-application, not this. Because in my mind, this is exactly a major land development project. Why? Because number one, it's non-residential in nature, okay? And you have a subdivision going on in the process of this. And in my experience, the other town that I worked in, if anybody ever attempted to put a telecommunications tower up somewhere and didn't go to the planning board, they'd be run right out of the town. So I think I know how to handle projects of this nature, and I tried to explain that to these folks, but they are of a certain mindset. Eventually, I got them to come around and say, listen, in an effort to actually help them, I was doing everything I can to expedite it, facilitate it, and help them, given the fact that they already went through a pretty good process with the zoning board. I said, look, it's a major land development project. I don't know how else to describe this, okay? First step is a pre-app. Let's go for the pre-app. I'll request that the board combine master and preliminary into one. We'll have the public hearing on it next month in January, and we'll get you on your way and you can build your tower. Because I don't know, legally, I don't know to what extent we can start tweaking this thing anyway, given the travel of this thing already. So, but again, it's if you go by the book, the way a project of this nature should happen is that building and zoning should make me at least aware of what somebody is attempting to do in the town. And then we can discuss mutually how we're going to handle it. The way this should be handled, I'll tell you right now, right by the book. We have this is a major land development project. First step is a pre-app, which we're having tonight. Then you go to the master plan, okay? Where we find out what types of variances are needed for a project of this nature. The applicant then goes with conditional approval on the master plan to the zoning board to get whatever relief they need. If they're successful in getting the relief which they got, they come back to the planning board and continue review at the preliminary stage.
That's how it's always been.
So I don't know I didn't know about this until.
No, I know, but that's how it's always been done.
I concur, that's what the neighborhood legislation says.
That is straight out of the book.
So how did it get twisted? How did they end up before the zoning board first?
Well, you ask the applicant, but apparently what they did is they went to the building and zoning department with an attempt to put up a tower, and it must have been reviewed by somebody. I'm sure Sherry told them that it's not allowed in an RFR 80 zone. So they went for a use variance, which is a good way to, do it. And nobody's gonna say they can't put the tower up there if there's a void. But again, having the planning board involved on something like this at the master plan stage is very important, because we would also be another set of eyes looking at this. We'd be looking at the ordinance. For example, one of the first things that goes off in my mind, which was not clear to me from what they gave here, is before anybody puts up a brand new tower in town, they have to do a study and see if there's any opportunity for them to co-locate on an existing tower. Now that's done so that we can minimize the number of towers in town. We can't prevent somebody from getting coverage. Okay, maybe that was done at the zoning board. I don't know. Okay, they didn't answer it. I mean, they gave me a few pictures in here. Okay, with yellow shaded areas, which really doesn't describe to me what it is. Is that a void, or is that a coverage, or what? So I mean, the planning board never had a chance to ask these questions of the applicant. Hopefully they were asked at the zoning board, okay? Now, to back up the applicant to an extent, okay? When Mr. Champ came to me, he came to me with the opinion that, geez, I already went through site plan review of this with the zoning board, which I can understand. The zoning board will put them through a development plan review like application. Same as the council will before they change zoning on a property. They almost want to see some sort of a project review there so they know exactly what they're doing. But you can't have boards, the zoning board does not do development plan review. They're not empowered to do that. The zoning board has two functions. They issue special use permits and they grant variances. That's all they do. We have much broader jurisdiction, much broader powers. We're interested in projects at a higher level, not a minute level like that. And that's why it's important for things of this nature to come before a planning board first, to get scoped out, get a master plan approval, say, oh, go for it, get your variances, and then come back and we'll mop it up. That's the way it should be done. Now, they spent probably a lot of time before the zoning board going through almost like a site plan review process, and they feel as though, so, maybe legitimately on their part, say, well, why do I have to do this again? I just went through it. Well, because you never came to the planning board for anything. They wanted to just come before us and split the property in two. Separate the house, put the tower up. So, the first question that goes in my mind is, well, there's a non-residential component to this. And also, what opportunity did the planning board have any input into the layout of that site plan? None. Zero. Well, so, I mean, it relegates us. It takes our jobs and just throws them in the trash. It's not the way to do it. And so I would suggest that we really take a couple of steps back in conference with the various departments and solicitors. I don't want competitions. And I see a lot of, what I've seen when I went to the planning board, zoning board, but especially testifying on marijuana and stuff like that, I see turf wars. And we should not have turf wars in this town. These boards have to work dovetail together, and they complement each other, okay, towards the same goal. We can't say, oh, the planning board for this, or hey, wait a minute, we're working together towards the same end. And I think we really need some more conferences so that we don't have issues like this anymore. Because there's no reason why we should be doing what we've done tonight, going through checklists. We don't do that. The zoning board does it. Now, I don't know why the zoning board operates that way myself personally. They do things the way they do it, but the first question that goes off in my mind is I say, gee, when I give things to the planning board, I'm going through a checklist. My colleague over there doesn't even have to worry about that. Just shovel. How'd you like me to shovel everything to you every month and say, yeah, figure it out, folks. What am I getting paid for? And so those are my questions. So
The only reason that we're entertaining this evening is I'm extending the board's time here. I don't really want to see these people get tripped up at the next, because quite honestly, the application will not go forward. So we're doing some hand-holding here that we don't normally do.
Right.
And to editorialize here for just a moment. We haven't even gotten to the structural component of your project, that being the subdivision and the tower placement. We jumped right into the minutia. So normally a presentation starts with, we have a parcel of this size, we're cutting off a residential unit, it's gonna be this big, we're gonna put a cell tower in, what are our plans for the rest of the remaining area where the cell tower is gonna be located? Something about what the cake tastes like. Right away, we had to jump in and start talking about how the frosting was all screwed up. So, again, that was one of my first comments. You gotta get your house in order so that we can focus on the real issue that the planning board would like to talk about, which is the component of your project, the things that Jim mentioned, because I don't quite agree with Jim. I think at any time the planning board has the right to say, I'm not really thrilled about that layout. Let's make these changes.
And I agree totally. Just because you went to the zoning board first and didn't come here first, that's not our fault. That's your fault. You should have known who to come to first.
Actually, it's not our fault. We were told to do it that way. And all I do,
I didn't tell you to do it that way.
I know you
Neither
didn't.
did
I know you
Neither did the plan.
I know you didn't, but somebody did.
Maybe your representative.
No, the zoning board did, and that's why we did that.
Well,
I'm not trying
You
to
need
piss
you need
anybody
chill out a
off.
little bit too, because we're not very happy right now.
let's not be argumentative. First of all, if the zoning board told you that, I can state with confidence, they were incorrect. Because that's not what the enabling legislation says. I'm not here to
supposed to know
first
that?
lines.
Your representatives are supposed to, your lawyers, your surveyors, your engineers.
We're not going to send you back to the zoning board, that's not what we're doing. We're just saying that in this discussion of who came first, an error was made, okay? We'll try and make the best of it.
Yep.
But I don't consider my hands tied at all, I as a planning board member. If I see something when we get into the meat of your proposal that doesn't mesh with my thinking, you're going to find out about it. Okay, so just because you have a use variance and whatever else you got, planning board is still going to do its job. Clear?
Understood.
All right, so listen, we have a checklist. It's good. We will make the determination about completeness. Again, that's not our job.
I wasn't asking, I don't know,
Okay.
if I could be candid for a minute, when I go in front of other planning boards, indulging the checklist is not out of the ordinary. It's not an extraordinary act. Now here, I apologize, I didn't know that here it is an extraordinary act. I view the checklist as a way to make sure that we don't have a problem at the hearing, and that we can improve the application and make it more responsive to the needs of the planning board. That's why I immediately began with that. And if I meant no disrespect whatsoever.
It's okay.
There are 39 cities and towns, and I can tell you, they are all different in their protocol to some degree, and some degrees are larger than others.
I understand.
So, and that's,
I appreciate your experience. I can tell you that I appear before planning and zoning boards all over the state and never go through a checklist before a planning board.
well,
I don't need to be argumentative.
no, okay.
That's not what the planning board does. That's what the planner does. And if planning boards are doing that, candidly, they don't know their job either. Okay,
Thank you.
let's move on. Let's not get bogged down in that.
Sure.
So we got a checklist. We're all happy with that. Is there anything else that you want to put on the table for us to talk about?
I don't think so. Can I just confirm
Yes,
with
of
my
course.
client for a minute, please? I think, I don't think they're prepared to make that proposal.
Sir?
We don't really have anything that we think needs to be discussed tonight, but if you do, we're more than happy. I mean, it's,
Okay, planning board members, anything to talk about the meat of the project?
So you to get your height variance, you floated this balloon, correct? For
Yes.
a day, no, a week?
A week.
A week. And that's just to make sure that all of the surrounding area would be able to say, hey, and it was supposed to be advertised, people were
It was.
supposed to know what. I missed that, I did not know that a balloon was flying out there.
I don't catch all of those either.
Yeah. So, and so nobody complained?
No.
Okay. And so how, so it's pretty tall, so you're gonna see it from the road, obviously.
Yes, we did a full presentation of the vantage points
Yeah.
using simulation models. I mean, we could do that again. The
I'm
next
just kind of
meeting.
curious, this is the first cell tower that's come before me sitting on the board, so and this is a, could we indulge just slightly? Okay, so,
We're gonna show you what we showed
okay,
the board.
Yeah.
Okay? What we did is we took, we did photosynths, okay? Our proposed tower is 175 feet. Okay? Proposed tower, 346 Spring Street. And what we did is we went all up and down the roads, we tried to see where we could see the tower, or where we could see the balloon. And at this point here was one of the points we could see the balloon.
that's at the, where the splits off in Rockville, yes?
Yes,
Okay.
so this is Camp Yagu Road and then it splits off.
Right.
Okay, so that's a distance of 186 feet from the tower site. You can see the balloon,
860?
860.
860.
And at 860 feet, that's that yellow house, I'm sure you're all familiar with it. That's what you can see. Okay.
And then you simulate the tower.
And then we simulate the tower. So that was the balloon, and that's the tower simulation. Okay? At 860 feet. Okay, at a distance of 695 feet, right at the opening of Yagu Road, Camp Yagu Road, you can see the tower, you can see the balloon. And this is that shot with the balloon. And then the next will be the shot with a photo simulated tower.
This is the entrance, you can see the yellow line.
Yes, this is the entrance going into Camp Yagu Road. And then from a distance of 1,225 feet, we drove all the way down Camp Yagu Road, and when we came back, that was the point at which we could see the balloon. So we took a picture. There's the balloon, right there. And then this is with the photo set. And then another spot just a little bit further up the road on Yagu Valley Road, 940 feet away. There's the balloon. And then there's a photo simulation of the tower. And that was it. So there were four spots. First I showed you, second, third, and fourth.
So, within, usually in the planning board, we're often very concerned with neighbors and nearest neighbors. And so part of our purview is that the applicant will send out notification to their nearest neighbors that this is going on.
Which we did.
Okay,
We did, so we have the newspaper clipping, the whole 9 yards. We did it from a Tuesday at 10. I think it was Monday or Tuesday at 10.
September 12th
September 12th
to September
at
16th.
10 to September 16th. So we did it over a weekend as well.
yeah,
And I think I took it down at 4 o'clock on the last day.
okay. But,
And we had no butters came to the next meeting.
okay. But we would also require that as part of our planning board as well.
Which we've done.
Okay. No, because for our meeting, our proposed meeting in January, where this would come up for the master plan, we would send out a notification again, correct? So in case there was any chance that your neighbors could come in and hear at the planning board.
So you want us to do another 5-day balloon
No,
test?
it's just saying,
No.
it's a meeting.
No,
No,
notice,
We know
no,
that.
just a notice.
Oh, yeah, we
Just
know
to
that,
give
yeah.
opportunity
course.
for,
Yes,
you know,
sure.
just gotta be good neighbors. And so there's no lighting on there according to your,
No.
I read. And so I just want to understand a little bit,
Right on top. We went,
I just want to understand a little bit about so you guys are building this tower and other folks rent out space on the tower.
Correct.
So your company is just the tower builder,
That's correct. We're tower developer.
okay? And then other folks like
Verizon.
Verizon or AT&T says,
Yep,
hey, I would like some space on your tower.
that's correct.
Okay. And so Jim mentioned this earlier, and you've built more towers before?
Yes, we
Okay.
actually have 2 other towers in Hopkinton.
Do you?
Yes, we have, what's that, 700? North Street's big, tall guide tower.
Is it a similar tower to this tower?
No, and the one down the street is 650 North Road. No, 650
Main Street.
Main Road. We have,
By the fire department?
no,
No.
right along 95. Yeah, if you're coming up down the hill, after exit 2,
Yeah.
coming towards 1, and you see it up on the hill. That's ours.
right off exit 2, right?
Yes,
It's in Hopkinton.
it's in Hopkinton.
We
Okay.
applied for and received approval for it in 2006.
And we did it exactly the same way
Right.
we did this.
Did we bond that to take it down, as if this was in our ordinance? Did our ordinance come after
By the way,
these towers?
We'd like to clarify that in front of the zoning board. We know it's not in the decision, but I'm almost positive the bonding came up.
It did, it was,
It did.
it was provided bond as
Yes,
standard.
we always, that's a
And we
standard
will.
procedure
Oh, that's
for
what I
us.
was just asking.
Bond, always.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if that's, I don't know, if you want to catch that little, I mean, happy to provide a bond.
So is the bond, tell me what the bond is for?
Removal,
Decommissioning.
decommissioning. Yep,
Okay. Because that's all part of being good neighbors and returning.
we always do that for every site we develop.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Well, it's never come before
Sure.
us, and I haven't been here, so just.
I know,
making
yeah.
sure.
It's just so in case, you know, it doesn't get used or what have you, we post the bond so we can, you know, remove it and put it back to the way it was.
So 2 things then to add to your proposal, when you come back for the public hearing or the combined
Master plan.
master plan preliminary, please use your visuals, what do you call those, photo sims?
Photo simulation.
I found that very helpful.
Oh,
Please
good.
use those. And if you would include your bond agreement language, why it's there, just so that anyone in the audience already knows that that's been covered, we don't even have to ask the question.
Well, I think too, I appreciate a little more now your annoyance with going to the zoning board and thinking that's all you were gonna have to do. So I appreciate that. But unfortunately, you have to go through 4 steps with the planning board, this being the first one.
Understand.
Jim and Al seem to be amenable to you combining the next 2. You gotta go find those checklists for the next 2 and go through them and make sure you cover them. Because you didn't on this checklist for tonight, and the checklist for the master plan and the preliminary are extensive. So we can't shoot from the hip right now and tell you everything you need to do for the next 2 meetings combined and have you come back and say, we didn't ask us for this. You gotta go to those checklists for the master plan and the preliminary, if that's what your intention is for the next meeting.
But,
And there's a trillion things to do on that. Whether you care to, whether you're annoyed to do them or not, again, I appreciate, but you gotta do them.
whether we're annoyed is irrelevant, really, but I appreciate your observation. We
Because
will work with the planner to make sure that it's complete. I now understand the protocol, and we will do that. We will work with Mr. Lampier and make sure that.
Because I can't remember everything that's on the master plan. I can't tell you that tonight.
Right, right.
I mean, we could pull the book up and read it to you, but you gotta go do that.
May I ask one more question? I have a question about how come it's so far back? Is it just to reduce the line of sights into the property? Or maybe
Yes,
I'm
we tried to, we try to minimize the impact
Okay,
as best as possible for visual reasons.
okay, so that's nice for the planning,
And we also try to make a set, we also
Yeah.
try to, again, my name's Rick Posey,
yeah,
we try to design them so that they what they call the fall zone. They fall within the property lines themselves, so.
Do they fall much?
No, we haven't had one fall yet.
Okay, so yeah, because that's kind of, it seems like a fun fact to you, but for us and the planning board, the fact that you're so considerate of the neighbors and the view, that helps us look more favorably. The fact it wasn't just this random choice and it's
Yeah, and
purposeful.
a lot of times
Yeah.
we are approached with open fields and stuff like that, and we reject those properties because they are open fields, and we don't wanna go through the hassle of,
Planting trees to,
you know.
yeah, right.
upsetting people and stuff like that. And again, sometimes some towns don't have setbacks, say, for the length of the tower or so. We generally like to keep them within the property. If it's a 200-foot tower, we'd like to be able to keep 200 feet on all sides of the property line. If it's 150 feet, we try to do that as well. And that's our policy within the company. We try to be good neighbors.
Just general experience, if you put it near the road, you're just asking for trouble.
Oh, no, I was just curious. I mean, it's just, I was just clarifying just the placement,
Sure.
because this is a,
So another reason why we make the road not straight in, so when you actually look in, you can't see it because it's got that turn a little bit. So that's why we do that too, so you can't see that one go by.
and that's a gravel road, yes.
That'll be a gravel drive, yes.
And that's all part of the master plan regarding, I guess we don't care about maintenance and all of that as far as that goes, and is that?
I presume that's carried under some lease arrangement that you have with your people that mount up on your tower?
With
Yes,
that
we have our
actual,
own
yes.
maintenance crews.
Yeah.
We have our own maintenance crews that take care of the plowing, and so we,
Okay, okay. That's fine.
Question for the two of you, do we have to have them discuss proposed use for the remainder of the property?
Yes.
Sure.
We do, because that's,
Plan to touch on that,
do
please?
you know why that we would want that?
Sure, I mean, it's germane to site plan approval.
Well, no, it's because that if you come back again, and then you're gonna put more and more houses, and then we have certain regulations regarding, building of that additional property. We have to know what you're thinking about for that other property.
Sure. Do you want to talk about it tonight? I mean,
Our plans, we have no plans for doing that.
No, we don't want to talk about it tonight.
Okay.
We're cautioning you that as part of our regulation, we are obligated to investigate
Yeah.
your plans, your future plans for the use of the rest of the property.
Right.
Now, that still looks like a very developable piece of property to me. So, and just for your edification, many of our applicants have to show up with a plan that shows where the additional lots could be. So if future development is not in your game plan, you need to tell us about that, put that on the record, so that, as Amy indicates, when you or a subsequent applicant come before us in the future, we're going to go to that record and say, we never really talked about future development on this parcel.
That's fair. Yeah.
Good. So I don't want to talk about it tonight, I just want to caution you that you should include it in your presentation next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Planning board members, what else? Anybody have a problem with the meat of the proposal itself? Are we generally okay?
No,
I don't have a problem with the tower in place.
I think it's a cell phone wasteland on that road, driving that stretch myself, so.
That's the representation that they made in the
Right,
documentation.
With all due respect, I thought this was, technology was going away and we weren't gonna have cell towers.
Really?
True?
No.
No. Okay.
That's what we have.
In 2018, 2018 to 2020, there's probably going to be a ton more towers needed. Where? That's
Well, actually,
guess
we need
now.
one right out here.
Well, having a son who went to Yahoo and appreciating the policy of no phones, nothing, If this tower goes up, I hope they continue that policy so
Yeah.
that there'll be no video gaming and so forth. Yeah, that would be a travesty, but that's up to y'all, not us. So,
Okay, it's a pre-application, there's no vote taken. I think you have a consensus that, generally, the planning board is not going to have a problem with what you're proposing, although we may be squeezing down on some of the details as we come to your master plan improvement.
well, thank you for your
Thank you very
candor.
much.
We appreciate the candor.
Okay, thank you. Look forward.
So if you want to do the combined now, if you want to do the combined master plan, make sure you get everything. Those are working shows. But here's where it goes by the book, okay? Sure. If you think you have a complete submission, I go through that checklist. I write a certificate of completeness. Okay. We're in the estate neighborhood legislation. You can read how I'm supposed to operate, 4523, okay? Look it up. And every planner in the state's supposed to do the same thing. They have a certificate of completeness, or else you don't go before this board, right? So that's what we do. So don't send out any notices, don't put anything in the newspaper until we have a complete application. Now, I'm not gonna say you're gonna make January. There's a lot of work to do yet, okay? So if it don't make January, we do it in February. But I'm here to work with you as often, as hard, as whatever you want to get this job done. But it's gonna be done right.
Right.
Okay? I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Next item on the agenda, solicitor's report. Thank you very much. Planner's report.
I'd like to quickly mention one thing. Sean and Ed and our consultant, Mr. Westcott, they've done a great job on the comprehensive plan. We have in our possession a letter from the state of tentative approval of our comp plan update, subject to the town council having their public hearing and going through and so it's in a state right now that they're ready to approve it. It's in the council's hands as to what they might want to do. I'm going to be advising them to approve it as is,
Sure.
because we
No,
got it in our hands. We don't want to fumble it.
Absolutely not.
So we're planning on giving that to the town council at their second meeting in January, which I believe is the 18th, I think. It's a Tuesday.
That'll be the set public hearing.
Public hearing, right?
In
So
January.
we'll be advertising in the first 3 weeks of January, we'll be advertising, because they have to adopt it as an ordinance. So I gotta coordinate that with Lisa and stuff like that, we gotta get the ads, the ordinance prepared and everything. But it's ready for the state to approve,
Fantastic, good news.
so that's good news.
Is that a strictly town council workshop, or is it joint town council?
Well, the planning board had their workshop, as you recall, the planning board said what it wanted to say, and those comments have been incorporated into this document. So now it's up to the town council to have the public hearing, have the public come out, comment on it, have the town council weigh in on it, whatever they want to do. And if they pass it that night, then we can just formally submit it to the state, and very quickly we'll get our approval.
Good. I don't suppose that the guy or gal that signed off on it is going to be one of the 100 that's walking out the door, taking advantage of the severance package. Is he or she? Hopefully he or she's going to be there when the town council gets it back to him?
Well, that's another reason for the council not to tally with this too much and get it done.
Good.
And that's going to be, and that's the advantage of this, is because we have it approved, which is the reason why we're doing this to begin with. We're only doing this exercise and paying this $40-some-odd thousand to a consultant for one reason, because our state approval expired. Not because we weren't happy with it at the town level. It served our needs and purposes just fine. So we have a document now which has not been substantively changed in the lease. It's been updated. So it doesn't restrict the council or any other body in the town from operating the way we've always had been. So you know, with that scenario, I would say, darn it, approve the thing. Now, if in the course of the public hearing, the town council has an issue with a certain aspect of a plan, then I would recommend that, you know something, as soon as we get that letter of approval of the plan as a whole, revisit that section of the comp plan. You can amend it 4 times a year. But at least if the council wants to go that route and take apart a section of a plan and do something with it, if it's not happy with it, at least we have a plan in its entirety, which, except for that amendment that's being worked on, it's approved. Rather than having an entire plan that's not approved. So that to me is the way I would do it, is that if you want to amend the plan at any time, amend it, and then we can focus in on that, and we're ready to go with the council and serve them however they want. But at least we'd only be focusing on a very, very small amendment that the state may or may not approve. We don't know. So I wouldn't even bother going there. We wanted state approval. We got state approval. Darn it, approve it. So I'm hoping the council doesn't take the thing apart. Depending upon the degree to which they do that, if they start making some wholesale changes, we're going back to the state and we're going to have it all done all over again, outside agencies. And and the reason why it's important to get this job done is because just what we went through right now, zoning. Our zoning ordinance is archaic. It needed updating and rewriting 30 years ago. Okay, so let's get the comp plan approved. Immediately begin working on the zoning rewrite, which is already halfway in progress. Okay, they put a hold on it. But so let's get some of these things done so that we can make this community better in increments. Because if we do nothing, if we just forever dilly-dally around, we're not going to advance ourselves one iota. Everything is a work in progress. You never have a perfect document that's going to stand for the span of time. Okay? You're always working on something, improving. So you have to keep that in mind. That what we have today, okay, in front of us, in terms of planning and zoning, is head and shoulders above what we have to work with on a daily basis. We need to be improved. Our zoning map needs to be updated. We're working on an issue now that there's an error on the zoning map over here on Mechanic Street, and we got to go to the council now and fix that one parcel. We should be fixing the entire town from north to south. We're supposed to make that zoning consistent with the comp plan. So those are the types of things we want to work on, but we can't make progress unless we move. So that's going to be my thrust to the council, and Dave Westcott's going to make the same thrust, is that, hey, we got their signature in our hand here, let's move along, and worry about tomorrow. So that's my little speech for today, but.
Let's hope that's the case. Well, that's a job well done. Good. Okay, anything under correspondence and updates? Public comment? Yes, ma'am. You can just sit in the front and talk to us.
I'm not very well, so I had laryngitis this morning. Barbara Capapel. I had a question about the project that you had earlier. I have to assume that it's an R1 or an RFRE zone?
Correct.
Correct. What happens when it's split? So you have you have a commercial project in a residential zone. Does it have to be rezoned as commercial, or how does that work?
The zone doesn't change. The zone stays as it is. They got a use variance. So that they have a variance to put a tower on an RFRE property.
So the use variance is they have a use now to be commercial on an R1 property.
Correct.
I'm assuming that our tax assessor assesses it at full commercial.
The assessor will assess it for what it is, yeah. For the
It's
use.
commercial.
Yeah, right.
So they have a use that has become commercial on an R1 zone, in an R1 zone. And I just have not seen that before. I assume that's because of towers, or
Yeah.
solar, or wind.
Right. They could have got a zone change, or they could have got a use variance. They went for a use variance.
So they have a use variance, but they are then taxed at a full commercial rate.
They'll be taxed for what the land use is, for what the tower is, as a tower, commercial,
And
whatever.
it is a commercial, I'm assuming that's commercial then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know, I didn't know how that worked.
Unlike the zoning, which the state determined the town's tax rate on
Right.
the solar project.
This one, we get to determine the tax rate.
And that commercial use is just for that tower only, it's not any commercial,
Correct.
it's just for that particular
That
use.
particular piece of property.
That particular piece of
The
property,
entire piece of property.
right, the one that they're gonna subdivide, the 13 acres would be still zoned RFR 80, but allowed to have that particular use on that
And
property.
therefore, that RFR 80 zone is taxed as commercial.
Well, you talk to the tax assessor exactly how she's gonna do it, but I'm sure it's not gonna be taxed as a house, it's a tower, so she'll apply, she'll probably tax that tower the same way she taxed any other tower in
The
town.
other tower, so it's not as an RFR, farm forest and open space, which happens to have a tower.
No, they'll tax it as a commercial tower, sure,
Just wanted to know.
absolutely.
Okay, date of the next meeting is January 3rd, everybody okay with that? Anything else that come legitimate to come before us? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.